Across the globe, crimes involving the trafficking of children evoke a particular kind of horror. These acts shatter not only the lives of the innocent, but also the fundamental trust that binds families and communities, whether in remote villages or bustling cities. Stories of children vanishing at the hands of those meant to protect them send shockwaves through society. These stories force us to confront the darkest capacities of human behavior, especially when the predator is apparent.
Hello, ni hao, hola habari, bonjour, marhaba, namaste.
At Crime Watch Vault, we delve into the world of true crime, unsolved mysteries and compelling fiction stories. Each story we share is based on information already in the public domain and is presented for educational and research purposes. Please remember, we are not involved in any investigations. Our goal is to explore these cases with respect and thoughtfulness, offering insight and sparking meaningful discussion. If you have a passion for the mysterious and the unexplained, you've come to the right place. Now let's get into today's story. This is the story of Jocelyn Smith, a little girl whose light was stolen, and a nation left asking how a mother could commit the unthinkable. It was an ordinary morning in February 2024 when Raquel Smith claimed she left her daughter Jocelyn in the care of her boyfriend Jacques Napolis. Smith was reportedly heading to work, trusting that her child would be safe at home. But when she returned, Jocelyn was gone. The news quickly spread across Saldanha Bay, prompting a community-wide search. Posters were hung, search parties were organized, and police issued statements urging the public to come forward with any information. At first, Smith appeared to be a concerned mother, gripped by panic. But as authorities began piecing together the timeline and statements, inconsistencies began to emerge. Her story didn't add up. Investigators discovered that there were no confirmed sightings of Jocelyn after the time Smith allegedly went to work. Meanwhile, Napolis claimed he had no idea where the child had gone. The community's concern turned to suspicion. How could a child disappear so completely in a small coastal town? And why were those closest to her failing to provide clear answers? What began as a desperate missing persons case soon morphed into something far darker. It became clear that Jocelyn had not simply wandered off, someone had taken her. And the chilling truth was beginning to point back to her own home. This initial stage set the foundation for what would become one of South Africa's most disturbing criminal trials. A case defined not just by loss, but by betrayal at its most profound level. Jocelyn was born in 2017. She was known for her striking green eyes, fair complexion, and a distinctive birthmark on her left arm. At the time of her disappearance on February 19, 2024, Jocelyn was last seen wearing a light blue t-shirt and denim shorts. She was a grade 1 student at Diazville Primary School, where she was cherished by her teachers and classmates. Jocelyn enjoyed singing hymns and was particularly fond of the song "God Will Work It Out," which her classmates continued to sing in her memory after her disappearance. As the days turned into weeks, public interest in the case of Jocelyn Smith intensified. Authorities began digging deeper into the background of Raquel Smith and those closest to her. What they uncovered painted a troubling picture of a household steeped in dysfunction, secrecy, and despair. Smith, who initially portrayed herself as a distraught mother, quickly fell under suspicion as her narrative continued to unravel. Witnesses came forward claiming to have heard Smith make alarming statements. One of the most chilling revelations came from a neighbor who testified that Smith had once expressed interest in selling Jocelyn, joking that the child's eyes and fair skin made her valuable to a Sangoma traditional healer who, according to some cultural beliefs, uses body parts in rituals. What sounded like a disturbing joke soon took on an ominous weight. The investigation took a decisive turn when phone records and statements began to link Smith to individuals known for involvement in illicit activities. Authorities arrested Smith along with her boyfriend, Jacques Napolis. their friend Stefano van Reinander. Interrogation, more disturbing details came to light. Smith had allegedly arranged to traffic her daughter for 20,000 rand. The motive, prosecutors argued, was a combination of drug addiction, desperation, and a willingness to sacrifice her own child for short-term gain. By the time charges were officially laid, the gravity of the situation was undeniable. The publicans, hopeful that Jocelyn might be found alive, now braced for a far more tragic outcome. As the investigation gained momentum, the full extent of the betrayal was finally coming into view. The trial of Raquel Smith, Jacqueline Apollis, and Stefano van Rijn began in early 2025. Due to the public outcry and media frenzy, court proceedings were moved to a larger venue, a local sports centre in Vredenburg, so that more people could witness what many believed would be a defining moment for justice in South Africa. In the courtroom, prosecutors laid out a grim and thorough case. They presented phone records, witness testimony, and confession statements that painted a clear picture of premeditated trafficking. The defense attempted to argue diminished responsibility on the basis of Smith's drug addiction, but this was firmly rejected by the presiding judge Nathan Erasmus. Judge Erasmus emphasized the calculated nature of the crime and the utter absence of remorse. "There is no mitigation here," he stated during sentencing. What was done to Jocelyn was gruesome, cruel, and irreversible. A mother's duty is to protect her child, not hand her over to evil. On May 29, 2025, all three were found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment. The room was silent as the verdict was read, punctuated only by muffled sobs from members of the community who had come to bear witness. Outside, crowds gathered in support of Jocelyn, holding up signs bearing her photo and messages demanding stronger protections for children. Though Jocelyn remains missing, the sentencing offered a measure of justice. For many, however, it was a bittersweet moment. A victory in court overshadowed by the haunting absence of the child at the heart of the tragedy. The conviction of Raquel Smith sent ripples across South Africa, igniting a firestorm of debate, grief, and deep introspection. The public's reaction to the case was more than just outrage. It was a communal heartbreak. Candlelight vigils were held across the Western Cape. Social media campaigns called for stronger child protection laws. Radio stations hosted hours of listener-driven conversations about child safety and the unseen dangers many children face within their own homes. Public attention soon turned to the broader systemic failures that allowed this tragedy to unfold. Many questioned how a mother struggling with drug addiction could go unnoticed by social services. Community leaders and child advocates condemned what they called a broken safety net, one that failed to identify warning signs or intervene in time. Amid the outcry, South African lawmakers faced renewed pressure to enact reforms. Petitions circulated demanding better monitoring of at-risk families, harsher penalties for human trafficking, and expanded resources for drug rehabilitation and child welfare. The Department of Social Development promised internal reviews and a public accountability report. But perhaps the most enduring impact of the case was its emotional toll. In homes and school, parents clung to their children a little tighter. Teachers became more vigilant. Neighbors began to ask more questions. The betrayal of Jocelyn Smith had become more than a legal case. It was a national wound. As the dust settled, one truth remained clear. While justice may have been served in the courtroom, the greater task of protecting South Africa's children was far from over. Jocelyn Smith may never be found. Her small frame, once seen skipping along the streets of Saldanha Bay, is now only visible in photographs. Her wide smile, a permanent reminder of innocence lost. But her story lives on, echoing through courtrooms, classrooms, and communities that vow to never let this happen again. Though Raquel Smith, Jacqueline Apollis, and Stefano van Rijn now sit behind bars for the rest of their lives, the emotional weight of this tragedy extends far beyond their punishment. Jocelyn's story sparked national reform, influenced policy discussions, and united thousands of strangers in grief and determination. Her name now adorns foundations dedicated to helping abused and missing children. Schools have launched child safety initiatives in her memory. Artists have painted murals of her, ensuring her face and spirit are never forgotten. In a world where child trafficking too often goes unseen, Jocelyn's case has become a stark reminder of what happens when vigilance fades and systems fail. It has also become a testament to the resilience of communities and the power of one child's story to awaken a nation. We may never know the full truth of what happened to her, but we know this: her life mattered, and in death, she has moved mountains. As South Africa moves forward, may Jocelyn Smith's legacy remind us that justice does not end with a sentence. It begins with remembrance reform and relentless protection of every child's right to be safe, seen, and loved. The story of Jocelyn Smith does not exist in isolation. It joins a tragic global archive of children failed by the very people and systems meant to protect them. What makes her case so harrowing isn't just the betrayal by her mother, it's the collective realization that monsters don't always lurk in shadows. Sometimes they live at home. Sometimes they smile. Sometimes they say they love you. This story has reminded South Africa and the world that vigilance is not paranoia, that protecting children demands both emotional courage and institutional strength, that we cannot look away, excuse dysfunction, or trust silence. Every missed sign is a missed chance. Jocelyn's face, once a picture on a missing persons poster, is now a symbol etched in national memory. Her legacy is not just the sentencing of her mother, it's the promise that we must do better. For every Jocelyn we know, there are hundreds more we don't. Her name is a vow to listen, to act, and to believe children. The first time they cry out, we owe it to her. We owe it to them, because when the unthinkable happens close to home, we must not just grieve, we must change. Thank you for watching this heartbreaking story. Jocelyn Smith's case reminds us all of the importance of speaking out, standing up, and staying vigilant when it comes to the safety of our children. Her story has touched thousands across South Africa and beyond. And now, we want to hear from you. What do you think about this case? What more should be done to protect vulnerable children in our communities? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters. If this story moved you, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss future stories that matter. Until next time, stay safe.